Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Check out our podcast also below in the description.
Shanahan did it again, John. McVay dominates the NFC West. He dominates the Seahawks and the Cardinals. He does not dominate Shanahan. Kyle has now won 4 in a row against him. You said last week, Kyle off a bye. Niners should have the lead at halftime. And I got to say, I thought once the Rams kind of took control that it was like, okay, the Niners owes a good 3 quarters. They can't maintain this. But they did. With Mullins, they did.
Well, they had that little graphic of the guys that have won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. It was only 2 guys, J.J. Watt and Lawrence Taylor. Then they went to all the guys that have won it 2 times, and Aaron Donald was in the mix. And he then went on this stretch of like, yeah, he's going to win this award again, right? It was like he was tossing McGlinchey, causing a fumble, running around everybody. It's like, I don't even know what Kyle's supposed to do, 99, and he's hitting his helmet. I'm like, this, whether you diehard Niner fan or not, you just watching this going, this is the most dominant human I think I've ever seen. Like, what are you even supposed to do? And it's like, he can't call passes. They take the lead. I'm like, they're screwed. And then somehow it was incredible. I know Mullins' ultimate numbers, he got well over 250, not well over 250, but it wasn't like 120 yards.
Right.
So he was through a decent amount of, now a lot of it is slant routes to Debo and him making plays. I think everyone that watched that game would agree they won that game despite their quarterback, which against a really good team. I know they have, as someone tweeted at me, could you please use ownage is ownage? And they own the Rams. But still, is that what Kuiper says, or Kruk? Ownage is ownage or something like that?
I know ownage. I didn't know they added another ownage is ownage, but I like it. Ownage.
Yeah, so it's just
grab some pie.
Pretty incredible that you can beat. I get they owned the Rams, but the Rams are a good team, and to beat them with your backup quarterback, even off a bye, even them off a short week, is really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been talking about the Niners since the bye week, since they lost going into the bye week to the Saints. We've been talking about them from a draft pick kind of standpoint.
Because they lose today, the season's over.
Yeah, and we'll get into the math of the playoffs. It's still going to be difficult, but now they got one more game. You win that game, you're 6-6. I did watch the game thinking, it's not going. Kyle's not getting his career record up to 500 this year. This year's not going to help him. But if he finds a way to win 7 games with this team, I am going to just count it as another kind of feather in the cap of Kyle Shanahan's an elite NFL coach. Now, I do think one other thing it shows is now he's won 4 in a row. Back when his teams were bad at the beginning of the Kyle Shanahan era, he gave McVay a hard time. As long as Jared Goff is the quarterback of the Rams, the Niners are just always going to be – they're always going to have a shot to beat the Rams, no matter what they are. Clearly, Russ is a problem. That type of quarterback, Kyler Murray, is a problem. Jared Goff is not only not a problem, he's a vacation for Robert Saleh's defense. I mean, this is their ideal. And – one thing we've seen with Mullins is he will do a thing or two in a game that will just get you beat. But I don't want to say the luck, because the Niners, like you said, the Rams are a good team. The Niners made plays. But they were not playing a quarterback this week that can make the plays, I'll say, to beat them. But it's just Goff is just not a guy that's making a bunch of plays to beat you. And so that's the kind of game where Mullins will have a chance. But even then, he threw a couple balls that just – now, he made some plays too. Don't get me wrong. If you told me he had to throw the ball 35 times, I just wouldn't have said they're going to win that football game, especially if they're not running the ball with any great success, which they were not.
Yeah, I mean, they had some early runs, but as the game went on, what I think happened, you'd have to go watch the tape. The Rams just went, what are we doing? Put 15 guys in the box. If we stop the run, this guy cannot beat us, right? If we let these guys gash us, we're going to lose. If we can stop the run, this guy's going to throw us the ball. And he tried. At the end of the day, to me, Goff is like a starting pitcher who can have some really good moments. Like he has many games in his career where he goes 8 and strikes out 10. And you go, God, this guy's really good. He also is one of those guys, though, that has games where he's getting yanked in early in the second inning.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes with him, and we'll talk about Derek a little later, you kind of know early on, you're like, ugh. He does not have it.
That's true.
And unlike Derek, like you said, think about last year with Cousins. who a lot like Goff, the way my buddies in the league, say it is they can't make plays off script. So if you can force them and get pressure, like if you're advanced scouting them, you're telling, if we can get early pressure on this guy and force him to he's kind of got to move off his quote unquote, the coaches love saying, move him off the spot. Well, that just means kind of shuffle a little bit to the right, not being able to go to the main, if it's like the slant route to Cooper Kupp is where he's supposed to go. All of a sudden he's got to audible on the fly in his head. He's fucked. And his balls, when he's off, he has Mullins level throws. That's what's crazy about a guy that went number 1 overall. He's the 3rd highest paid player this year in the NFL. He can probably have as ugly a throws. Remember Eli used to have these stretches?
Yes.
Now Eli is way more accomplished than Jared Goff and better than Jared Goff, right? He's just physically stronger arm, and he had things in the bag that I don't think Jared ever will. But when Eli was off, it was just really ugly. And I think Goff is a lot like that. He's like the poor man's version of Eli, I would say.
Yeah. It's kind of
because he can have he was good Monday Night Football. He makes some really good throws. Now he also turns the ball over a lot. He throws a lot of picks for a guy that's supposed to be quote unquote really accurate.
He does throw a pickable ball, right? His inaccurate throws are pickable. Whereas, if you watch some of Cam Newton's inaccurate throws or Derek Carr's inaccurate throws, some of those balls are just.
Well, Cam's hitting the defender on the side of the helmet. He doesn't have time to look.
Even Mahomes, these guys.
I think Kyler does some of that too. Hits a guy in the chest.
What did you say?
Jared hits guys in the breadbasket.
Khalil Hyder Jr. He was good.
That guy's good.
Richard Sherman led the team in tackles. Had a pick, right? Debo Samuel, getting these guys back. I did watch them, just thinking, I don't think they're if the whole team is healthy and Mullins is their quarterback, are they a playoff team? I think that's too hard to do. But I mean, here they are, a game.
Why is Ayuk on? Ayuk's on the COVID list, right? So he comes back. You have enough talent to probably be 8-8, even if Mullen starts every game out, right? You do. That's missing Kittle and Bosa.
Right.
They Debo and Ayuk. That's just 2 high-level wide receivers, right? And to me, Mostert's a big difference too. Just his speed, how early in a game he can get you probably 3 or 4 first downs. Even if you shut him down in the second half, he extends drives on certain early in the game that may lead to a touchdown or some field goals. That when he's not there, lead to punts, right? That just to me, he's just their best running back.
And you
by
just
a
have
mile.
to respect him defensively.
Even Wilson Jr.'s not bad. I mean, relative to what a couple weeks ago when he was out.
I mean, they did.
It's just dramatic when they got those 2 guys playing.
Lost 2, fumbled 3 times, lost 2. I do think part of it, we talk every
time.
You
got a ball security guy.
Every time we talk
7
about
points of pressure.
But Jimmy Ward forced a couple fumbles. They were imperfect as well. Every time we talk about Kyle versus McVay, a lot of people get very worked up about either side. Whichever one we're complimenting, people get very upset on the other side of it. One thing is clear. Kyle's overall record is just not going to stack up with McVay's right now. But he clearly stacks up. I mean, I feel like I'm debating something that's not really a debate anymore. But I mean, that thing is over and done with. I'm not saying who will go down as the better coach. We'll need years of information on that. But clearly, he has every bit. I guess what I'm saying is I'll walk away from this season at this rate feeling just as good about Kyle Shanahan as I did coming off of the Super Bowl. He's only repeatedly affirmed what I think of him as an elite NFL coach.
Yeah, I mean, today was an impressive win. Just to find a way to win with Mullins, especially once they kind of it felt like they took control when Aaron Donald was taking over, that stretch end of the 3rd quarter, early in the 4th quarter. I mean, in my head, I'm like, they're going to lose this game.
Yeah, I was with
you.
To
find a way to win. And clearly the defense was exceptional, right? I mean, you have a pick 6 from Javon Kinlaw. You have, just like you said, Richard Sherman, that pick. You have Jimmy Ward. When they get turnovers, to me, part of it is and it shows you to beat a good team, going into next week, to overcome Mullins, who's not going to throw touchdowns, you need to turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a touchdown.
Which they haven't. We've watched them a lot going, all right, Niners have to have a takeaway if they're going to have a chance today, and they just haven't gotten it.
Think how much better their secondary is when Richard's in there, because then just Mosley and Verrett can just be good players, just normal, solid corners, right?
Yep.
It's a game changer with him. And I think it was I had kind of thought in the back of my head, he's older. How's he going to come back? Clearly, the injury was way worse than we thought. There was a setback. How's he going to – I mean, clearly pretty healthy.
Looked
Like he
really
just looked
healthy.
like Richard Sherman.
Yep.
You know, it went from, I don't know how much he's going to get on the open market. Well, if he has 5 more of these games and they win 8 games, like he'll be. It may not. He's not going to get a 3-year contract, but would someone give him 1 year, 13, 14 million?
I mean, I think
something?
he's making 12. I think he's a top 15 paid guy this year. So
yeah,
if you're him, you're looking
12
for
to 15 million dollars is a 1-year deal, all guaranteed, something like that.
Yeah, if you're him, you might be able to leverage 2 years.
Yeah, maybe 2 for 24 with 15 guaranteed or something.
Right.
I mean, the other thing he's going to have going for him is he's beloved, right, from his teammates or the coaches, his understanding of defense. If he can play these last 5 games healthy, he'll definitely get some money from people because he's just too well. Think what people value the coaches in the NFL.
Well, I think, well, exactly.
Mike, you don't think the Vikings, Mike Zimmer,
and what would you say about him? You'd be like, Richard Sherman, describe him. I'd be like, one of the best players on the Niners.
Yeah. What position does he play? Corner? I don't know. He tackles. He picks the ball off. He covers.
Leader.
Team captain.